Vriddhatma, the one who is of full grown nature. And the reason being, Vriddh means growth. Vriddhi is growth. So, Vriddhatma, he is the eternal, he is the only one that existed forever. And everything else is temporary in nature, all his creation. Everything is manifesting and unmanifesting. Therefore, he is the oldest. Therefore, he is the Vriddhatma. And actually, Shankaracharya also explains this one line: as the cause of time and space, there is no further growth possible for him. And we have seen this, right? Like in one, he has already grown, and therefore he doesn't have any more vikaras left. That asti, jayate, vardhate, viparinamate, briyate, all of this doesn't exist for him because he's the all grown, eternal, forever. The next nama is Mahakshaha, the one who has big eyes. So there are two things you can take here. Akshi means eye and Aksha means sense organs. In both cases, he has eyes everywhere, or he can see everything that happens in the universe, or the one who has sense organs everywhere. So having big wide eyes with all senses being well formed, so that is the other meaning that you can take as a saguna rupam of Bhagavan, that he has big large eyes, Maha Akshaha. The other meaning is his senses are limitless without sense organs, therefore their limitations. The Lord can see, hear, smell, taste and everything, and you have to connect this to the Kenopanishad Vakyam that we have spoken about before. He is the one who helps us smell, and he is the one that who gives the power for the power to the eyes to be able to see. He is the one who gives the power to the ears to be able to hear. So the consciousness that is in us, that is us, that like the consciousness that is me, I'm able to hear, smell, and do all the karmendriyas and the jnanendriyas, whatever I'm doing, it's because of that consciousness. If that consciousness that doesn't exist, this body is nothing but the five elements and will collapse right away. So that consciousness is the one that's listening and hearing. So the one that has limitless senses is Mahakshaha. Number 354, Garuda Dhvajaha, the one who has Garuda on his flag. Dhvaja means flag, right? So Garuda on his flag. So one, of course, he rides on Garuda, and Garuda is a great devotee of the Lord. This indicates a devotee who is one with or inseparable from Ishvara. So Garuda is, okay, that's a different one. Yeah. So the one who is a proper devotee, Bhagavan takes care of that person and is so close to Bhagavan that he is on the Dvajam of Bhagavan. That's how it's taken as. And Garuda Dvajaha, the straightforward meaning, is the one who has Garuda on his flag. The next shloka now. Let's look at the number of namas that are in it. Atulaha, Sharabhaha, Bhimaha, Samayajnaha, Havirharihi. I believe it is Havirharihi in this case. Just checking. Yeah. Sarvalakshanaha, Lakshanyaha. Oh, sorry. Sarvalakshana Lakshanyaha is one nama, 360th. Lakshmivan and Samitinjayaha is one nama. So Atulaha, Sharabhaha, Bhimaha, Samayajnaha, Havirharihi, 5 namas in the first line. Sarvalakshana Lakshanyaha, Lakshmivan, Samitinjayaha, 3 namas in the second line. So we look at the nuances of chanting. Sharabho, Mahaprana Bho. Bhima is Mahaprana Bhima. Samayajno, Yagnya is GNYO. So make sure that Many times it just sounds as GN, but there is a Y also there. So samayajno havirharihi. And atula sharabho, visarga followed by sha. Bhimas samayajno, because again visarga followed by sa. Sarva lakshana lakshanyo lakshmivan samitinjayaha. Okay, so the second line should be pretty straightforward. Who would like to chant this shloka?
I will.
Okay. Atulasharabho bhimah samayajno havirharihi.
Atulasharabho bhima samayajno havirharihi.
Sarvalakshana lakshanyo lakshmivan samitim jayah.
Sarvalakshana lakshanyo lakshmivan samitinjayah.
Would you like to chant the full shloka, Taraji?
Sure. Atulasharabho bhima samayajno havirharihi. Sarvalakshana lakshanyo lakshmivan samitinjayah.
Awesome. So we'll look at the meanings now. Atulaha. Tula means to weigh, right? To weigh something. So, but atulaha means the one who has no equal, hence beyond comparison. So he cannot be measured, he cannot be compared to. If you remember, the same meanings we have taken in Lalita Sahasranamam as well, with the word ma, right? So there is no upamana, there is nothing that can explain Bhagavan. Therefore, even whether it is with analogies or whether it is some perceptible knowledge, he cannot be attained, or we cannot understand his real nature. So there is no upamana or illustration possible to explain his complete Shakti, or him completely. From the standpoint of his being Ishvara, with his Maya Shakti, there is no equal to him. The next Nama is Sharabhaha, the one who shines as the inner self. So, Shara means here refers to Sharira, and Sharira is so called because it is subject to disintegration, but the one who shines through this medium. So, remember, again, I'll remind Swaminathan Mama's presentation. So, he talked about original consciousness, reflected consciousness, and reflecting medium. So, there is Bhagavan, who is the original consciousness, and this body is the reflecting medium through which the original consciousness reflects, and making it the reflected consciousness. So this, the analogy that is used for it generally is the sun shining through drops of water. So the individual drops reflect back those sun's rays, and those are smaller, like, because they're coming from droplets. It is not the full nature of sun, but the ray from the sun isn't going to be very different, or the shine of the sun, rays of the sun isn't going to be very different when they're reflecting from the drops of water. So the one who is reflecting, or who is shining through as the inner self, through reflecting through this reflecting medium, is Sharabhaha. The next Nama, Bhimaha, and actually Abhimaha is also another meaning that is given. Bhimaha, the one who is feared by all, and Abhimaha is the one who causes no fear. Okay. So there are some grammar rules that Shankaracharya is talking about, so I'll skip those. Okay. Well, and we have seen some of those examples, like, how Bhagavan is the one who instills the fear of rules, and he creates the rules, and through our consciousness he tells us to follow the rules, and that fear of not following the rules is also caused by him. So the one who makes us fear not doing dharma on the adharmic path, and the one who makes us fearless on the dharmic path is Bhagavan himself. Therefore, these two namas is how Shankaracharya explains it. Okay. The next nama is Samayajnaha, the one who knows the appropriate time. I have heard something different for this one too, so we'll see. So the knower of the time, it does not mean Bhagavan knows the time without having to consult a watch, but means that he knows the Uchita Samaya, the appropriate time for everything. When a seed is sown, it takes a certain time for it to sprout and plant to grow. The Lord knows when exactly the seed has to sprout, when it has to flower, when it has to bear fruits, and when it has to die. So he is the giver of the karma phala, and exactly at the time that is destined. So therefore, he is Samayajna. He knows not only the exact time of the coming, staying, and going of every being and every phala, but also as the creation as a whole. So the whole, the macrocosmic as well as the microcosmic time keeper. So Samayajna. Okay, the next nama, he is Havir Harihi. The word Havis and Hari can be looked at together as one word or as separate words. Exactly. That's why I was thinking Havir Hari, if it is one in some commentaries, I think Bhattacharya's commentary, it actually is given as two different namas, Havis and Hari. So Havis means the one, the offering that we do in a homa. And that havis changes depending on what homa you're performing. So if you're performing Sudarshana Homam, the havis is yellow mustard. If you're doing some other homam, the havis is going to be different. So, like, for Matangi, we actually do havis as, sweet pan. So there are so many different havis, but what the offering is, the medium, and we have seen this before too, Jata Veda Sesunama. So Jata Veda is the Agnihotra, who is the common medium that we send everything, like, we offer everything to any form of any Saguna Rupam of Bhagavan through the fire that is installed. The fire then once, it's installed with mantras, and the form of Bhagavan that you are actually doing the homam for is invoked into that. And then actually there is a whole all the jata karmas, the 16 not all the 16, but until the dvija, like the upanayanam, some samskaras are all performed in the homam, and then the offerings are done. So that is called as havis. Harihi is somebody who actually is receiving the homa. So there, if you take it as two different namas, that also works, that he is the havis himself, as well as let me see, Bhavaniji. Maybe I should get closer to the mic a little bit. Let me know if this works better. Havis is what is offered in the yajnas as oblation. It is offered to devatas like Agni, Indra, Varuna, Prajapati, and not just those. All the Bhagavan rupas, all the Devi rupas, all have homas. So yeah, here Shankaracharya is reminding us that Agnaye Swaha, Agnaye Idam Namama is what we say, right? Like, I am offering this through Agni to this Agni, that is the say Sudarshana Homam, if I'm performing that. So I've invoked Sudarshana into this Agni and I'm offering to him. And whatever I'm offering, it is not mine. The idea is to instill vairagya in us, that we are usually, like, very possessive about our things, and as we are offering into fire, we are giving up on those items, and slowly it has become such ritualistic that you offer a bit of, like, mustard seed, and it is not too expensive. But if you remember, there is, like, offering of silvers and, like, gold, and even, like, silk saris for mother, and people offer, like, the navaratnas, etc. It's supposed to be instilling vairagya in us, and that's, it's not, I am not possessive about these things, and it doesn't really matter if I've offered this to Bhagavan. I remember Swamiji used to say, what is the arti that we do in the temples. For some reason, Sai Baba Aarti is in my head, but not that one. The Aarti song. Can anybody remind me
Jai
of that?
Jagadisha Hare.
Jai Jagadish Hare.
Mangalarti.
Mangalarti, right? So in that one, tan man dhan sab kuch hai tera is what we say. So Swamiji says, if you have offered everything the previous day for the Aarti, the next day you are singing the same thing. What else do you have? And he jokes about it. How consciously are we even singing? That is his question for us. So when we are singing, we just sing merely as like, in a nice happy song. But not necessarily with the intent it is supposed to be that I don't possess any of this. I am only renting this space called body, and I am living here for a certain period of time. All the belongings that I think are my belongings are gifts from Bhagavan for me to use for a certain period of time. They exist today and they may not exist tomorrow. So this whole Homa concept is supposed to be instilling that in us. So Lord Vishnu is called Hari because by merely remembering him, he robs all the papas and problems from all the people. So he also removes ignorance, and ignorance born samsara. He is Hari also because he is the Harita Varna, a greenish blue color. So whether it is Hari or Hara, the ultimate goal for us is by chanting those namas, they remove our sins. And whether it is, when somebody is on moksha path, then they would remove the punya papa, the karma phalas, the karmas, whatever is happening on a day-to-day basis, that is all offered back to them. The next nama is Sarva Lakshana Lakshanyaha, the one who is indicated by all pramanas. So Lakshanas, I think we have talked about the number of pramanas that exist. Long ago, it would have been in our Gita study early on in the introduction to Gita section by Swamiji. So it talks about there are 6 different kinds of pramanas. One is what we understand through sense perception, just by looking at, I know there is electricity exists because, there is bulb. I've seen bulb, so that is one pramana. I can understand that there is electricity because the bulb, though I can't see electricity, through all of this, I can derive that there is electricity through analogies or through how we visualize things based on somebody's description. So, but it is said that in order to understand Bhagavan in his real nature, we cannot see through any of these pramanas. So we say Vedam is the only pramanam that we have to understand his real nature. But here it says Sarva Lakshana Lakshanyaha. So through every pramana we are able to see him. So how is that? It's contradictory, right? On one end we are studying that he is not available for perception through many of the pramanas. So one thing we have to understand is the jnanam that we are talking about comes at a certain point of time. Until then, and Vedam, through Veda Pramanam, Shastra Pramanam, through Guru Upadesham, we get that knowledge. But the knowledge already existed. Bhagavan exists in everything and anything, right? So it is not new knowledge that is being created by Guru. He is only showing us the Darpanam. Veda Shastram serves as the mirror that is showing us Bhagavan, and Guru is helping us hold it in a way that you can actually see the reflection and understand him. But he always existed. He didn't ever exist. So therefore, all the pramanas are supposed to be leading to him, but we only have to get to this point where Vedam teaches us, and then we see him through all the other pramanas as well. So that's why he is Sarva Lakshana Lakshanyaha. Lakshmivan, I think very easy nama to understand, and we have seen the meanings of Lakshmi, and in many different, there are I think more than 60 meanings for Lakshmi. So the most famous, more popular ones, that she is all wealth, all prosperity, or the Sarva Mangala, and he is the one that has her, right? So the one who is always with Lakshmi, or who Lakshmivan. I think it is very difficult to translate that Van into any language, but I'm assuming everybody in your, think from your regional language sense. Lakshmivan means one who possesses. Lakshmi is Lakshmivan. Then the next nama is Samitinjayaha, the victorious. Samiti means a battle, a hostile encounter, or an assembly or a gathering. So in these places, one may have to face challenges and win, and one may fight a battle or face a challenge and win, but finally it is Bhagavan who is victorious in all our battles. Just like, how as parents, no matter what the children go through, ultimately we look for they achieve their, we help them achieve their goals. Similarly, Bhagavan slowly, nicely prods us towards the ultimate goal of moksha. And I'll remind you one example here, one analogy, one story that we have previously.
You said, sorry to interrupt, but you said that these two are one nama. Lakshmivan and Samitinjayaha. Samitinjayaha.
No, I said Sarva Lakshana Lakshanyo is one nama. Lakshmivan, Samitinjayaha. There are three namas in that second line.
Okay, thanks.
So if the way it is explained is if a child is playing with toys and the child is super happy playing with the whatever toys that are available, then the parents don't have to worry about that child, and they know the mother is cooking and the father is reading a newspaper or doing some other work. But if the child cries, the Bhagavan, the parents may show some other toy or give a new toy, or what in Telugu we call it as Uradinchadam. They console the child a little bit, and then if the child is again back to playing with the toys, then the parents go and do their work. Until the child actually thinks, I don't want these toys, I only want you, that's when mother or father leave whatever they are doing and then pick up the child and spend time with the child. So it's like, the cranky child. It's about the way this is explained is if you are interested in the material goals and just, need to get some toys, you can get those, but as long as you're related to or you're happy with the material aspects or material things that you have around you, and your goal is only to ask for Bhagavan, give me more of this or more of this, what Swamiji calls as a shopping list bhakti, then those may be bestowed depending on karma phalas. Again, Bhagavan doesn't promise that he'll give everything, just like, we don't give everything to our children. Bhagavan also won't give us everything that we ask for. And he keeps, bestowing some gifts and keeps the hopes going for us. But until a point, we reach a point where all of these toys are not going to be keeping us happy, and then we ask for his presence, that's when we will get him. So it is about, we can say bhukti mukti pradayini and all of those things, but there is a clear distinction, and there is bhukti that can be like, the material aspects that we request for has to slowly go down. And Swami Paramarthananda gives a beautiful analogy for this. He says Bhagavan is showing us a gold biscuit, and then he also has the a little like cream biscuit in his hand. The child does not understand with gold biscuit you can get like a whole cream biscuit factory, but he doesn't understand that, and he thinks by just this is very tasty at this moment, I will enjoy it. But as soon as he takes the cream biscuit and then he extinguishes it, he consumes it in a second, then he needs something else the very next moment. So thinking about what is the nitya vastu viveka is the most important aspect of what are we asking for. If I ask for this, is this giving me happiness for this moment? And what happens in a year from now? Will I still be as elated and as happy with the same one thing that I'm asking for today as I would be an year from now? And was I happy without this a year ago? So notice and keep observing what is the nitya, what gives you permanent happiness, eternal happiness forever, versus the happiness that we keep chasing for, which is like, probably gives happiness for a day or for an hour, or for a year or for 10 years, and after that it still has to go away. So that's where we will conclude at 9:44. Any final thoughts before I do the Shanti Mantra?
Sriji, did you
See, I heard, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, I was just trying to recall a story I recently heard from just what you just mentioned, Guruji. It's almost Mukti is like the lap of Bhagavan, because mom, when she's dealing with little kids, she initially gives like a little toy, and the baby cries, and then she brings a new toy. So until the baby realizes all I want is my mom, and she throws all the toys, then she turns off all the stoves in the kitchen, and then she finally comes, and then the baby sits in the lap. Same way, apparently, that story gelled in very well with what you just said.
Yes.
Thank you, Guru.
Awesome. Satiji?
No, what I was asking was, did you explain that Sharira breath? I don't have the meaning.
The nourisher of the Shariras.
Oh, okay. Thank you, Sri.
Awesome. Sounds good. We'll conclude the Shanti Mantra. And maybe next time onwards, I'll just probably pause. I usually try to squeeze as much as possible in the 45 minutes. Maybe I'll pause after each Nama to make sure everybody understood, and then we'll move to the next Nama. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnamevavasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Sri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Sarvam Sriman Narayana Charanara Vindarpanamastu. Thank you so much for your time. I'll try to record the previous ones that I did not record, and hopefully I'll upload like 2 different